and keep everything happy for you. All right. So without further ado, I'm John Smith, but nobody cares because that's not what you're here for, right? You're here to see Mira, and Mira is like one of the coolest people I know, and I am excited for her to have a shot at this webinar today. So Mira, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and whenever you're ready to share your screen, you can do so. I'm going to stop my video and let her rip.
All right, thank you. I'm just going to share my screen here. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right. So you can see my screen all right. I'll give it a second to load. Are we good?
All good.
Okay, fantastic. There we go. I'm just going to hide my panel. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I'm really excited. Thank you to John for moderating the chat. That's really helpful. And also for Dan for attending. I am a teacher, librarian, and special education teacher. I have about 14 years of experience. I'm currently teaching at F.H. Miller Public School in Toronto. And I am a digital lead learner mentor with my school district, and of course, a very proud book creator ambassador. And before we get started with the presentation, I just wanted to take a moment and just thank all of the teachers that I've worked with over the years at F.H. Miller. They are a dedicated group of educators, and all of these projects featured today would not be possible without them. So I'm really happy to see that a lot of them are joining. So thank you. So as John mentioned, this is not a step-by-step. I really wanted to create a presentation that would inspire you, give you lots of ideas. I've been a huge fan of Book Creator for so many years. And so this is an opportunity to share some of those projects. I wanted to also note that please make sure to watch to the end. That's when you're going to get the details on how to get your free 3 months of Book Creator for free, which is an incredible opportunity. So I look forward to that. And here's our agenda. So we're going to begin with a quick overview of Book Creator. We're going to talk about some of the potential challenges that you might see in the Library Learning Commons. How do we measure student success in the library? And then what are these 6 steps to project success? And we will finish with some time to explore Book Creator and have question and answers. So the presentation portion should be about 45 minutes. And let's chat. So John, if you can put up that first poll. I'm really curious to know how familiar you are with Book Creator. So are you brand new, never used it before? Is it something that you've played around with a few times? Or perhaps you're a Book Creator ambassador or know it really well. So I'll just give a moment for the poll to come up.
And my apologies for the weird name of this poll. I did change that in Zoom, but for whatever reason, it doesn't want to stick. So please answer the untitled poll. We'll go about 10 more seconds here on that poll.
Okay. Now, John, I can't see the poll, but let me see if we can bring it up there.
Yeah, so right now we're looking at about 68% that are brand new to Book Creator, 23% have tried it a few times, 7% regularly, and we have 3% or 4 people who are Book Creator ambassadors. So awesome. I'm going to go ahead and end that, right? So there's the results. And
that's fantastic. So welcome to everybody. I'm especially excited for those of you who are brand new to Book Creator. I want to let you know too, there are so many resources available to support you. So if you find today's webinar is moving quickly, don't worry. There's lots of resources that you can go back to after. We will take a look at some of the built-in support that's in Book Creator's library dashboard. We will also be sharing an ebook with you that has been created to accompany this webinar, and it's going to have lots of details in it. It'll have step-by-step instructions for things, rubrics, project resources. So you're really covered with lots of information after the fact. And last poll before we get into the presentation, just curious what version of Book Creator you're using. So there's the free online version, which is a great place to start. There's the paid version. I think some people have school district plans. Perhaps you're using the iPad app. So just wait for a couple minutes and just see what everyone's using.
All right, and right now, Mira, about 67% are using the free online version.
Great.
12% paid, 10% school district plan, and 15% on the iPad at the moment. So we'll give it about 5 more seconds here for that one.
Great. We started with the iPad app and absolutely loved it. And now we tend to use the web version. And so you're going to see lots of examples of how you can use that in your programs.
All right. All set.
Okay, so I'm really glad that we've got a lot of new people joining us today. And so I wanted to start just with this quick video that the Book Creator team has put together. It's going to highlight some of the features and just give you a little overview. Just love all the different ideas that you can see. So Book Creator is an open-ended creation tool for iOS and the web, which means that you can use Chromebooks. It's so versatile. You can use it with any subject and students of all ages. We are in elementary school and we've used it from kindergarten. You can see the student working on a science lesson all the way up to grade 6 doing a reading response. But you can adapt it for high school and other levels as well. There's lots of creative ways to use Book Creator. Today, you're going to see examples of retells, creative writing, art. We've even used it for project reflections and to document entire projects. It gives you the ability to create multimedia projects, so you can embed videos and images and sound effects. You can app smash, so we love using it with the green screen. You can see an example on the right of one of our students. You can embed content, Flipgrid, coding, maps. There's lots of possibilities. What I love most, though, is that it's got so much built-in support. So it is there to help all learners. You can see in the image, you've got some text there that's being read to the student, and it highlights the words as it's reading. You can also add captions to videos. You can do speech to text. You can even dictate in over 120 different languages. So there's lots of options, and it gives the students a chance of how they want to respond, whether it's video or audio recording or typing. You can work collaboratively in the same book. That is with the paid version. So we've had students, they can work on their own page. They can work together on a page. You'll notice on the picture, there's some icons. So when a student is working on a page, there's one icon. If there's more than one student, you'll see 2 icons. And it's great to be in the same book because then sometimes students, when they get stuck, they can look at what their peers are doing and get support. And as a teacher, you can monitor all their progress in one place, which is really nice. Students and teachers can publish books. You can even publish entire class libraries of books. Now, of course, as the teacher, you get to enable that feature if you would like it. But we've used that this year to post libraries into our online Google Classrooms. I think this is a great way that you can share books that have been made over the years. Students can look at it during independent reading time or even when they're at home. And before we dive in, I wanted to show you a little preview of what's possible. So sometimes what we do for our projects is we will print copies of the book, take it kind of that step further. And even though the digital books offer so many features, the students love seeing the hard copies. So I want to acknowledge before I play this though, I know it's not possible in every budget to sort of professionally print and bind books. However, there's lots of options. You can print them on your own. You can use coil binding. And another really neat trick I saw was from one of our book creator ambassadors, Jen Seisel. And you can put painter's tape, like different colored painter's tape on the spine, give it a fancy look. So there's lots of ways that you can print it in a cost-effective way. So I'll just show you this little video. This was from our Fractured Fairy Tale project we recently did. How do you do that? Just to let you know, all the steps for printing and all those tips and tricks are going to be in the ebook that you're going to be getting that goes along with this webinar. So I'll show you more on that later.
Hey, Mira, can I
sorry to interrupt.
Yep, sorry, go ahead, Dan.
Great minds. Yeah, some people have been asking if you can minimize the thumbnails so they can see the text. Is that all right? Yeah, that's great.
No problem. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so some potential challenges that you might have in the Library Commons. So, you know, we as teacher librarians have to cover a wide variety of content to many different grade levels. And, you know, sometimes that can be challenging. But that library partnership time when a teacher and the teacher librarian and classroom come together is so powerful and can really promote student success. So, you know, what we have to do is think about sometimes how we collaborate. So sometimes finding the time to plan, it might not mean that you sit down side by side. A lot of time we will plan, you know, a bit more informally. We might talk outside of the instructional day, and I keep track of that in a Google Docs. You know, we also want to think about making the library a place where students are really excited to be. But sometimes you have limited time with students, right? So building that relationship or completing projects can be a bit tricky. And that's when we tend to extend that partnership back into the classroom and have them continue the work there. And it's nice because it sort of makes it seem like a continuous learning experience for the students. So I'm curious, you know, if in the chat, if you've noticed any challenges, do you face these same challenges? Are there anything else that you find, you know, and feel free to add that in and we'll take a look. I think John's going to be monitoring that. I also wanted to say, you know, there's other ways to measure success. So we of course think about the curriculum expectations, but beyond that, you know, it's that student engagement, because we know that that's also very critical for learning and success. And a quick little story, we had recently completed this Fractured Fairy Tale project. You just saw some of the books that were published. And that was for our grade 1-2 class. And it was during remote learning. It was June. And we were having them, you know, write and edit stories. And that can be challenging at the best of times. through Zoom, I think even more so. But with Book Creator, they were so engaged and excited to get to that part that they just didn't want to stop working. And that was amazing. The project also kept the parents really engaged. And I think that helps build that partnership, which we also know is important to student success. So that project we've documented in a blog, and that's going to be in the ebook as well, if you want to read a little bit more. So how do we achieve all of this? What are those steps? So when I was thinking about this webinar and the projects that we've done over the years, I was trying to imagine, like, what are the common elements? So I came up with these 6 steps: inspiration, collaboration, choice and voice, bring to life, feedback and reflection, and authentic global audience. So where do our projects begin? What is that jumping off point? And, they all start in different ways. So we'll take a closer look at that. Certainly for projects, I love using a mentor text in the library. I think it's a great way to spark ideas, lead to rich discussion with the students. And so that's something that we've done. You'll see here examples of books that we've used for imagery, choose your own adventure books, retelling for fairy tales, even having some like story starters or drawing prompts. And so all of those ideas are from projects that you're going to see today. Definitely books can inspire us. And this was an example of the incredible freedom machines. The artwork that was in this book was so beautiful. And so we had a discussion with the students and we had them imagine, what would your own freedom machine look like? And you can see on the right there, that's the students' final watercolor artwork. And just a little note too, on the bottom there, you can see the book cover, and I put those on each of the slides so that you'll know where these examples are from, which project they belong to. And if you do want to know more about them, you can take a look at them when you get the ebook. So another way our project started is that partnership with an author. Author visits can be so powerful. They bring an expertise and knowledge of the writing craft, and they can share real world experience that they have writing and illustrating and publishing books. So on the left, we have author Veronica Martinova-Charles, who we were so lucky that a few of our students got to work with her over a short period of time, and she was helping them to create a digital fairy tale. And she encouraged them to express their ideas in all sorts of different ways, not just that traditional way of writing down on paper. She had a very interactive approach. She was having them act out scenes to support their writing. And it was perfect because with Book Creator, we can embed those videos into the story. So it really made for a great multimedia book when we were finished. And then on the right, we have Debbie Ridpath-Owie, and she came to do an author visit for us. And then she also does virtual visits, which using Flipgrid, and we incorporated that into our recent creative writing project. And you'll see a bit more of that soon. But our students have learned a tremendous amount from Debbie over the years. So I highly recommend partnering with authors. Twitter is definitely a great source of inspiration for me. It's a great place that you can build your professional learning network. This is how our book tasting project began. I saw these tweets by 2 educators, Lisa and Madeline, and immediately was excited and talked to my colleague Shelley and said, we have to try this in library partnership. And so that kind of leads me into that last way that our projects evolve, which is, brainstorming. So, in this case, we sort of thought about what could we do and how could we put our own twist on the project. And that's how the book tasting came to be. Sometimes I'll just be, in a class talking to the teachers about what they're doing. And then, we think about, oh, this would be great. Let's extend the learning. We'll bring it to the library. We'll incorporate technology. So that's a few of the ways that we get our project started. So the next step is collaboration. And this is collaboration, not just with teachers, but students as well. And so, as I said, we do these projects through library partnership or sometimes partnering directly with the classroom teacher. And that's the place that I use, or that's the time I use to introduce Book Creator to students. And oftentimes these projects, they evolve and they grow and they become way bigger than we initially planned. And I think part of that is because, you each have different experience and ideas that you bring. And I read this quote that I felt really encapsulated that. So the best collaborations create something bigger than the sum of what each person can create on their own. And I think that's very true with the partnership projects. Working with a colleague really pushes you further. So each of you bring your own experience and expertise, and throughout that collaboration process, you might find that one person is stronger in an area, and so you balance each other out and you learn from each other as you're supporting the needs of your students. And it's a lot of fun. Sometimes we do need to extend that partnership back into the classroom. Again, I mentioned before with that limited time. So here's an example on the left for our book tasting project. We had the students initially exploring different genres in the classroom before they came for the first day of the book tasting. And then on the right, we have an example of our Choose Your Own Adventure. So we started the project in the library and we read a sample book, and then they went back to the classroom to create an anchor chart with specific characteristics for Choose Your Own Adventures. So that's a way to help the projects along. And another thing too, we sometimes, teachers will be doing things in their classroom that are just so beautiful. And this was our kindergarten teacher who was doing a spontaneous art activity, and she showed me this artwork, and immediately I thought, oh, we have to make a green screen project out of this. So we had the students, they finished the artwork in the classroom, they came to the library and acted out the scenes, and then they retold the story in their own words, and we put it all into Book Creator. And then I also find too, it's really fun when you can extend that collaboration to the whole school. So not just other classroom teachers, but thinking about other people that work in the building too. So this is an example of how our school caretaker helped us. This is a scene from our Choose Your Own Adventure story. And the student knew that he wanted to be swinging on a vine in a jungle, and we just didn't know quite how we were going to do it. So our wonderful caretaker at the time stepped in, and I'll show you a little behind the scenes look. Final scene of the student said, it was awesome. I liked it when I was on top of the tree swinging on a vine. I can actually swing on a vine. And I think that speaks so much to how you can really bring your stories to life. You might have also noticed too that we were using a blue screen there, which is definitely something you can do when you want to have that green in your video. So a key component for us with our projects is that peer and student collaboration. So we're constantly modeling collaboration for them in the library, but we want to give them opportunities to do the same. So you'll see in the projects how they take on different roles. Sometimes they might be the leader, they might be creating interactive content, giving feedback, or co-creating things like book trailers or artwork. This is an example of peer coaching. And so this was a scene from our fairy tale. And the student was supposed to be flying in the scene, and her friend was coaching her saying, you've got to be excited. People don't get to fly. And she was helping her make the scene more realistic. Show you what that looks like.
I'm flying. I'm really flying.
And then, of course, with Book Creator, there's so many different ways that you can illustrate your work. And so you can see here, we've got an example of using icons. There's something that's in the paid version, and I'm going to show you a little trick that one of our grade 1 students came up with. But you can use digital markers to draw. You can also use emojis. So you'll notice in the bottom, there's an emoji of a dog face, and then a student drew a body around that. So lots of options. And we have found that students teaching other students has been a really successful strategy. The student in grade 1, Lucas, who came up with this, he was brand new to Book Creator, but they always figure out the best tricks. So I'll show you what he came up with. loved how he combined the icons and put it over a real photograph. Now, he didn't do it quite that fast, but it was close. But it also, the student experts really helps build their confidence, which is another great benefit. Sometimes we have our students co-creating artwork. So here we recently had an author visit from famous Canadian author Barbara Reid, who does this beautiful plasticine artwork, and our students were just inspired and wanted to include it in their story. So they were co-creating the art, and then we photographed it and we put it directly into the story. Other times they're working together to learn from each other or create book trailers. So in the bottom right, you'll see for our book tasting, the final task was they had to pick a genre that they liked and make a book trailer based on one of their favorite books. And on the left, that was students, they were identifying different characteristics for an adventure story. So we had them exploring genres and creating a book creator book of all the different genres, which became a great reference point for them after. We also have our students assume various roles in groups, and so green screen projects are great for that. You'll see here we've got a student who is directing and giving sort of advice to the actors. There's a student who's holding a microphone. And then on the right is the final scene from the book. And so this was our choose your own adventure story. And the benefit of this is that, when they're working together, they've got to learn to take each other's ideas, and they're, they have diverse perspectives, and they've got to work together. And so that's really important. And just a little note here, the microphone or having some sort of like voice amplifier is really important for the projects to get good quality, and kind of learned that over the years. Another way students collaborate is in a collaborative book or a shared library. We had talked about that at the beginning. So here is a grade 5 student. She's reading another creative writing story of a student in her class. That student was very skilled at using the show don't tell technique. And so she was reading to learn tips. And in her own reflection, she said, I like how you can see other people's books and learn from them. So I think it's so important to see how it can support their learning. We also love to combine all of the student work into one book. So this was some more examples of the artwork from that incredible Freedom Machines project. They did this beautiful watercolor artwork, and then they wrote about the Freedom Machines, and we put it all into one book, but we also used the book to document the whole process. So we had in sort of what they discussed after reading the book, their initial sketches, even their watercolor lessons, and it just became a really great keepsake that we could have for the class after. And then this was one of my favorite experiences. We turned the library into the Miller Book Cafe, and it was a special education program that was coming, and the students there were many reluctant readers and writers. They also needed more opportunities to communicate effectively and sort of extend that reading stamina. So the goal was to give them a learning opportunity that really capitalized on their strengths and interests. It was a group that really loved communal activities like sharing food, and they loved technology. So we used Book Creator for them to be able to do their reading responses. And, the unexpected outcome of this was for how long the students were engaged in reading, and they just, didn't want to leave. And I think that speaks a lot to that deep learning that happened because it was such an interactive and meaningful experience. And another way that we like to sort of collaborate is we connect students with professionals in the field or, with authors. It's wonderful for them to have that opportunity. And with Zoom, it's even easier to do. And so when we finished our creative writing project, Book Creator featured our students' work on their blog, and they were so excited to meet Dan from Book Creator. So they had lots of insightful questions that they'd prepared in advance, and it really had such a long-lasting impact. And they shared it kind of as a highlight in their graduation speeches. But the other thing that was great was Dan gave them the opportunity to suggest some features that they would like to see in Book Creator. And so that reinforced, the importance of their student voice, and that, they, could suggest things, and that was really fun for them. So the next step is choice and voice. And so we know as educators, it's really important to give students the opportunity to choose and have different formats. And with Book Creator, we can present the information in lots of different ways. You can have auditory cues, visual cues, but it also gives them an opportunity of how they want to share their learning. And so being able to include multimedia is so key. You saw we had that example of the jungle scene. And so, there's a kinesthetic learner who can suddenly incorporate movement into his work, or some students enjoy expressing their ideas through art. And we saw that in the collaborative plasticine artwork. So being able to put all of that into a book is wonderful. And, that's the advantage of using something like Book Creator, right? It's, you can differentiate for those students. And this is an example here of how, they can choose how they want to express their ideas. And so this scene was from the fairy tale, again, that we created with the author. And, it captures the importance of giving students that choice. So in our student's own words, she said that, the acting supported her writing because she could feel it. So, the author had them watching the videos that they were recording so that they could help support their writing. And then also, the fact that we could then put those videos into Book Creator, they just loved so much. And in their reflection, the same student said, I like watching myself a lot. I like how we did it in a video instead of just writing it down, because I don't like writing it down. And I think having that balance of a little bit of writing, but also incorporating a video, many students struggle with getting things down on paper. Here is some different ways that you can illustrate books. So on the left, this was from our one of our fractured fairy tales. The student was using digital markers and then putting that over top of a real image. In the middle, we have a student who created, again, that beautiful watercolor background and then superimposed one of her drawings on top. And then on the right, the plasticine artwork. And so all these different options, and you photograph and you can add it right into the story. So I've mentioned how Book Creator supports, has all those built-in supports to help the students. I wanted to just show you. The footage here is from our book tasting. And we'll take a quick look. So you can type. This student's going to use audio.
7, it's a make-believe character that makes fire come out of his hands.
It's about a real person, and there's dates about her life.
So that was that speech to text. And as I mentioned, you can do that in 120 different languages, which is phenomenal. And then on the bottom, you might notice too, it says, you can remix this book. So Book Creator now has templates available that you're able to edit. And so we have put the book tasting templates. So all of these reading response templates are there in case you want to try book tasting of your own. And that will again be in the ebook. So student voice is always an important part of our projects. We want to give them a chance to share their ideas. So you're going to see an example of how they gave us feedback, and then also some examples of how they've shared their ideas with a global audience. So this was a comment card from our book tasting, and we modeled it after the learning skills in the report card. And each time the students came for a different genre, they would comment, and we would make changes in between. Here is, this is from our creative writing project. These are different tweets because we had shared the book on Twitter and, got such positive responses from all over the world, which is just incredible. And it was really motivating for the students, and, they felt a lot of pride in the work that they've done. And then, as I mentioned too, we worked with Debbie. So she has this option of doing virtual visits with her. Now, these are not live events, but we decided to use it so that we could motivate them to do their reflections. So we had them talk about sort of strategies that they learned when they were writing. And this was such an incredibly powerful moment because our students realized, that professional authors do the same things. And so we had one student say, I love that authors use graphic organizers, and they're not just something that teachers make us do. So I loved that moment because it was just that realization of, oh, wow, they actually use this. And, you'll see from the comment on the screen too, that the students were starting to realize that a lot of the strategies they were using are from professional authors use as well. and then bring to life. So for me, this is really what sets Book Creator apart. You know, being able to incorporate all of that, like multimedia into it, and it supports those reluctant writers, but then it also gives you the opportunity to extend and deepen the project for students that need it. We can focus on their strengths and their interests. This is a snapshot of images from our fairy tale project. And what was so interesting was how they all chose different ways of how they would express their ideas. It was either singing or acting, some with music. And so that was fascinating. And again, you see that comment about how, they really like being able to act and not just having to write. Now, this is a student who, finished early and wanted to sort of extend that learning. And so he was able to select some background music to kind of help with the mood and the atmosphere of his story. And that's a great skill to have them working on, selecting music for an intended purpose. And I'll play a little bit for you. Just that eerie music. And what I loved the most was in his reflection, he said, I can add what the main character is hearing, like I'm in the story. And again, it's that idea of bringing the stories to life. Another thing that we do too is we combine a couple apps. So that's the app smashing. Here we've used doing green screen animation as well as the green screen app. And you'll see the scene from our fairy tale. And notice the mice running across.
Gooey patooey, gargle monster, come out and rise, make everything horrible. Now rise, my blue bottle. Me.
I just love that scene. Now, this was an idea that I saw on Twitter by an incredible art educator, Trisha Fugelstad, and we were instantly inspired. It was a great way to incorporate technology and literacy, visual arts. And so the students had this opportunity to explore how to make their monsters move and express different emotions using stop motion animation. And we documented the whole project, again, in Book Creator, and we were able to include these stop motion videos.
It's okay to cry, color monster. It's okay to cry, color monster.
And so more information on this will also be available in the ebook, and I highly recommend you check out this lesson. It was really fantastic. And then, I used to love those Choose Your Own Adventure books when I was a kid, and we thought, why not make one that's more interactive? So being able to use hyperlinks in Book Creator, you can have the students create the story and they can actually go in and click on choice 1 or 2 and it will automatically jump to the page that they need it to. So just show you a little video of how that worked. And this was our Choose Your Own Adventure story. And so as they're picking different choices, it's jumping to the page. And then, at some point you get to the end where you have to start over again. And so we just put a little return symbol and then, you can have a different version of the story. So that was a lot of fun to create. We've also used the hyperlinking for an interactive table of contents. So we had a class book and we put each of the students' individual book covers in the table of contents, and then they could click on it and it would jump to their book. But it's great for visual learners. So that next step is the feedback and reflection. So that's a really critical part to the success, I think, of all of our projects. We talk a lot about editing and revising with the students and how real authors work on a book for long periods of time, and they have to do the editing too. So also our projects include reflections. So this is helpful to consolidate learning, but I also find that, they feel a lot of pride for the work that they've done when they look back, and it can be really telling as an educator to see what they really thought about the project, how engaged they were. And so oftentimes those comments really surprise you. And, being able to co-teach in the library is really helpful. So because of that, we can do conferences where we do some documentation together. So an example of that is here. So we like to use Google Docs for a lot of our feedback before we go into Book Creator. So especially when it's a longer story. And so we would have conferences with the students, and one teacher would lead the conference, and then the other teacher would document the ideas so that, when students go back to their desk and if they forget, oh, what was I supposed to work on? It would be there. So, that's obviously the advantage of two teachers, which is a luxury. And then with the final feedback, we would go into Book Creator, and we often would just use the shape tool, create a little post-it note and put comments in. And a lot of this feedback would focus on design and layout. You can also add video or audio feedback right into the book. And that was a tip I saw from one of our Book Creator ambassadors, Dr. Monica Burns. And I love it because it conveys, the excitement that you might have when you first see what the student has done. And then finally, our video reflection. So as I said, we used Flipgrid. It was kind of a way to motivate the students. And what I love about using Flipgrid is that the students can record a video of themselves. They can use audio recordings, or they can do a screen recording and actually demonstrate their knowledge. Or, in this case with the book, they could, walk you through their book. And so this was really powerful and a great way to make the project memorable. So in the ebook, I put more information on how you can connect if you'd like to try that with the author, Debbie. I would highly recommend it. And then finally, the last step, the authentic and global audience. So that is a huge motivating factor for students. And, this quote of when children create for the world, they make it good. When they create for their teacher, they make it good enough. And so, a lot of times the work that they do might stay in their desk. And I think by giving them an authentic purpose, knowing that people are going to see it, even like authors are going to see it, that's really powerful. And so with our creative writing, the drawing prompt that we used was by author Debbie. And so that was really a carrot that we kind of dangled. So, we're going to show this story, and, she's going to be amazed at seeing all the different ways that you've illustrated, your books and written these books. So that helps. And, it's a great way too to celebrate the work that they've done. This was a great example. We shared our Incredible Freedom Machines artwork, and the author actually saw it, and she shared it on her social media, and she wrote us a lovely postcard. And just that powerful moment of the students knowing that the author saw her work, it was so validating. And then the illustrator of the same book, he commented on how he loved that we had the rough sketches that the students had done beside their finished artwork. And he shared actually one of his original sketches from the book. And so that was really great for the students to see and helped reinforce some of those lessons that, we were teaching them. And then also another way to, connecting with authors through social media. This was an unexpected connection. We had been doing some book skits, and we shared this book skit with author Luke Flowers, who does the Moby Shinobi series. And he saw it and he reached out and said he wanted to do a virtual visit with us. And, we had this great moment of learning how his childhood inspirations led for him to be an author, and students got to draw the character. And, all of that came out of that social media and that global audience. And so, to this day, he's still very generous with his time and connects with our students. And then sometimes too, we created this book trailer, and we shared it directly with the author, and, he saw it and he made a comment. And I think just being able to have that direct connection with authors and illustrators is remarkable. And then, with Book Creator too, we can share the entire class library. So it's easy to share with our parents and our family community. And in this last project of the fairy tale, I thought this quote was amazing because the parent said, that it was a real shift for her to realize that technology also could help them be more creative. And these illustrations are done by a 6-year-old. It was her first time using Book Creator. She only had a mouse, and I was amazed at what she could do. So it's great to have that option again to easily share with parents. And then with the latest update, which I've heard is called the John Smith update, being able to track where in the world the books are read and how many times they're read is just wild. And, we've really enjoyed showing the students. And I think, again, they just sort of see the power of like their voice and being able to share their ideas on such a global scale. So, when we finish our projects, what we like to do is sort of have some sort of book celebration. And recently we've started doing these book reveals. So I'm just going to show you this quick video of the reveal for our creative writing. Here we go.
This is awesome. What is it? Oh my.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, you're drawing. Wow. That was amazing.
We love the texture of this.
It just feels nice, doesn't it?
Amazing. I want everybody to say about how they're feeling about their books. Just one word to describe your feelings. Surprising. Happy. Surprised. Speechless. Speechless.
They're just such an amazing, nice thing you did for us.
So that was just such a wonderful moment, and it was a great way to sort of celebrate. And so that's the end, but I want to acknowledge that, I know it's a lot of information that has been shared, but I wanted you to see what's possible with Book Creator. And the key is to start with one thing that you saw that you want to try. And I wanted to show you that, you've also got this ebook and remind you that that's going to have lots more detail. It'll have project resource pages with everything that you need. So I thought we might take a quick look just at a couple pages of this and then get into our interactive demo. Maybe I'll just check in, John. How are we doing with questions?
Yeah, doing pretty good here. There are a couple real quick. Arlene wanted to know, can these projects all be done using the free version of Book Creator? And the short answer is yeah, you can. There are a few features like collaboration, the noun project icons, that would not be available in the free version, but the vast majority of the stuff that you have seen today can be used using the free version. And then obviously some of the other tools that Mira has used as well have paid versus free versions as well. So, things like DoInk and and some of the other tools definitely have some paid versus free accounts as well. But yeah, you could do almost everything that you've seen here today using the free version. Dan is putting in the chat window as well, though, that the free version gives you one library up to 40 books. So if you have more than 40 students or multiple classrooms and things like that, that's where things do start to get a little bit tricky with the free version, but you can certainly do a lot of damage with the free version.
Yeah, absolutely. And we started, that collaboration feature has been really powerful, but we started before that. It didn't exist. And we can definitely do projects that way too. So, if you do have questions or things you think about after, I can help brainstorm ideas. So this is our Book Creator for Teacher Librarians, the ebook that we've been talking about. It is going to be finalized and you will get that early next week. So I'll just do a little flip through to show you. It's going to go through following kind of the same format as the webinar. It's going to have in all the blog posts that have been written about the projects, lots more detail there. Talks about the different ways of inspiration. Try to link in all the resources that you might find useful. So there's quite a lot in there. And And again, it's meant to make it easier. You know, sometimes too, just there's some teacher tips that you can listen to. And then at the very end, there's going to be those project resources. And I think that's going to be really beneficial. It's going to list for you all the things that we use from the books to sometimes rubrics, lesson plans, whatever I had for the project that we used is going to be in this. And I'm just trying to flip it. It takes a second to load. There's so much great stuff in there. But I just want to show you an example of a project page. And then again, to how to print, because we talked about that and, you know, those step-by-step instructions. So for example, you know, you've got, like, you choose an adventure, it'll give you an overview of the project and then link in all the resources that you might find helpful. So that's definitely there for you, and it will be coming. And so we'll just go back here. And so I wanted to tell you, we're going to get into that interactive component. And I'm hoping that, you know, we'll all join in a collaborative book and maybe just share one idea that you saw that you would like to try. I will let you know too that the ebook is, as I said, it's going to come out early next week. And that's also the way you're going to get the promo code for the free months of Book Creator. So if you've never been in before, you might not have an account. So the first step is going to be to go to app.bookcreator.com. And I believe John's going to put that into the chat as well. Yep. And if you've never been in before, you know, it's going to ask you a few questions about what you teach and guide you through creating your first library. But, you know, go ahead and start that. It doesn't take too long. If you do run out of time, or, you know, it's a lot of information and you just want to watch the demo, that's fine. We're going to leave the code and have the book available after so that you could always go back to it. So this is what it's going to look like. When you go to app.bookcreator.com, you're going to have two choices, the student sign in as well as the teacher. You want to make sure that you click onto the teacher sign in and then choose which method you'd like to use. Now I'm going to jump out and I'm going to go actually into Book Creator. Right in here. Okay, so this is my this is a shared library that we're going to all join together, and I'm going to put the code up. I know John's going to put that in the chat for everybody. And you know, if you already have a Book Creator account and you're familiar with it, you'll know what to do. If not, just copy that code, and I'm going to walk you through the steps. And John, is it in the chat? Can I move?
Yes, I just put the code in the chat.
Awesome. I just didn't want to jump ahead. So when you come into your library, you're going to come into My Books likely. And so you're going to look here for those hamburger lines. You're going to click on that and it's going to bring you to the teacher dashboard. This is what I was telling you about too, that has all of the built-in resources. And I'll just quickly show you, there's tabs at the top here. So Discover is great if you want to see ideas by grade or by different subjects. There's all sorts of books that you can take a look at. There is a Learn tab. So if you have specific questions on how to do something, there's a knowledge base. But there's also these webinars, and you know, we do the weekly webinars live, but they archive the past webinars. So you can go and browse and watch specific webinars there. But I would say, you know, if you're new and you want to learn the features, the best way is to go into this certification. So this is Becoming a Certified Author, and you can see John there. He created this course, and I think it's a fabulous way to go through. It doesn't take too long, but you know, it'll really give you a great overview of what to do. So all of this is going to be there for you, just to keep in mind those resources. Now I'm going to go back to libraries. So if you want to enter the code to join my library, you are going to, on the teacher dashboard, scroll down. You'll probably have less books if you're new to Book Creator. And you're going to see this Join a Library. You're going to click there, and that's where you're going to put the code that's in the chat. And when you put that code in, it's going to bring you to that collaborative library. I'm going to go back into the library. You'll notice here, so this book, I've already turned on the collaboration. So I went here, and when I put that collaboration feature on, I can choose everyone to collaborate in it, or I can choose specific people. So right now, of course, it's turned on so that everyone can. And when you go into this book, and I see some people already appearing, and you can see it will show names, which is fantastic. Here's what I thought we could do just to finish off. Let's share one thing that you'd like to try. And so just like we give our students choices, I wanted to give you the choice. You can record your ideas. And so to do that, you would hit the plus and the record, and you can just say what it is that you're going to try. You can also add a picture, an icon. So if you go into the plus, and then we go to shapes, you can search there. Now, I realized actually that the icons are part of the paid version, so not everyone might have that right away, but you can also go to media and you can go to import and search for an image that matches what you're thinking, or just type your response right into the bubble. So I created this one sheet here. I'm going to go up to pages to show you. I made multiple copies so that you can kind of pick a page, and we can see nicely here, you know, there's a couple people on that first page, one person. And if you are a Book Creator Pro or you want to do your own thing, there's blank pages, feel free. You can also easily copy a page if we need more pages. And then just go in, and I'd love to know, you know, put your name, what you would like to try, and that sort of, and then we'll just finish up with some questions and answers. So I'll give some people time. I'm going to kind of pop in and see what we've got.
Mira, while they're doing that, I want to answer a couple questions here while they're doing that.
Yes.
If you don't see the plus sign, there's a possibility that you got in the book maybe early, or you accidentally clicked that play button up at the top right. So Mira, if you want to click that play button for me, this is, it puts it in read mode. And this is what it would look like. So if you don't see the plus button, you're probably in that mode, and you just need to click over on the left where it says edit. And that will get you back to where you need to be so that you can make changes to the book. And then to create an account, Maureen, if you go to app.bookcreator.com, so I'll put that back in the chat window here. So app.bookcreator.com will allow you to create an account. A couple other questions here. Mira, wondering if you have any suggestions on how this could be applied to secondary students, and does your book that you're sharing with us include ideas for secondary students?
Okay, so it doesn't include secondary students. However, I would say almost all of the projects you could adapt. I know there's lots of resources on Book Creator to give you ideas. I would say the writing projects, absolutely. You could use those at a high school level. You know, it's great to collaborate with artwork. You know, you can still document projects in high school. There's so many different ways. Math journals I've seen. I would recommend, you know, taking a look on that teacher dashboard, because they will also give you examples for different ages. So, you know, if you go to the Discover, and you can take a look here at the elementary, middle school, high school. And, you know, once you play around with it for a little bit, I'm sure that you will be able to think of ideas of, you know, how you could try some of the things that we've shown here today. Certainly, you know, writing, creative writing would be something you could do. And I see we've got people throwing in a Flipgrid, which is great. Yeah. Lots of ideas.
So Mira, a couple years ago, I worked with some high school students and some second graders. So we did a collaboration between the two. And so a couple of different projects. One where the students created their own monsters. They drew their own monsters and created their own stories for these monsters. And then the high school teacher and the digital media students took the hand-drawn monsters and reimagined them using digital media inside Book Creator. And so it was really cool to see what a second grader thought this monster might look like versus what a high school kid might think it might look like. And I've also had that same class create and illustrate children's books for younger students. So I love the idea that you did, Mira, where you had the books printed out for the kids. I could see the high school kids doing this as a way to give to the younger students. So the high school students create their own stories, illustrate their own stories, but make them age appropriate, and then gift them to students that are younger than they are. So I think there's a lot of different ways.
And I loved that project. I remember that one. And even having older students like reading or narrating books, and then having younger students read them. You know, I think with drama, there's so much you could do, but I love the idea of partnering with a class and doing that, those drawings. That's a fantastic way. There's really no there's endless possibilities. And so it's just a matter of, taking some time thinking about what you want to do, but the tool will allow you to do anything. Definitely infographics. Those are fantastic. We have done that too. I love that idea from Shelley. And let's see, the green screen seems to be something, and don't let that intimidate you, because I remember thinking the green screen was something that was going to be really challenging to do. The app is so simple. The one that we use, the Doing, you add a photograph to the bottom by hitting the plus, you have the students on the green screen and you add that photo and it's done. And I've put in the ebook step-by-step instructions. There's links to video tutorials, but I assure you it's not as tricky as it seems, but it does produce amazing results. So let's see what else.
And Dan, I don't have an answer for this one. I think I know the answer to this. Do you need to log in right now to get the 3 free months, or if you're just attending the webinar in that follow-up email? I'm assuming it's just for attending the webinar. You'll get the free 3 months. But for the anonymous person that asked that question, you will need to create your free account first. So you want to create that free account first, and then when we do send that follow-up email, it will give you instructions for upgrading using the promo code. So you definitely want to do that first. And then Robert, I saw your question here, and this is it's a very loaded question, long question, and maybe Mira has a couple of quick tips here. But Mira, the question was finishing masters in library science, focusing on youth services. So this is really interesting, but curious how to better engage faculty in an academic library. So they've condensed a lot of the space and the materials, so they have a more collaborative space for learning. But the teachers, it sounds to me, are a little bit stuck in trying to get into the space to do actual teaching. They think of librarian like kind of it's just for reading books, and there's no teaching going on in the library. Do you have any tips for that kind of situation?
So is this like physical space is short, or it's just that they don't see it as a place where you can do all of this learning?
Based on what I'm seeing, it looks like the director has a vision of the library being a learning hub, but the teachers are seeing it as a place to check out books, and that not a learning hub.
And I completely understand that. It is so much more that library learning commons, but it does sometimes is seen as that place you just sign up books. In our school too, it's that library partnership time. I think being able to co-teach and model for the classroom teachers and kind of get them engaged. We've done PD with the staff on different technology you can use. I think it's actually, that co-teaching that really will help them start to see. And then, by doing these projects, like as you start showing this, the students get excited, the teachers get excited, and they want to be part of it. And hopefully that will drive the engagement up. So that would be my first suggestion. But feel free also to, if you have follow-up questions, you can always reach out. I think I've put, I'm just going to jump up for 1 second here. I did put here my Twitter in case you want to follow. You can ask me questions there. I've also put an email. I'm happy to chat book creator ideas with anyone. As I said, I absolutely love it. So that is up there. And I love all the ideas I'm seeing, John. This is great. I think we're pretty much running out of time, but know that this is going to be in here available to you after, so you can take a look. I know I'm going to go through and see what everyone found exciting that they want to try. Definitely online collaboration, demonstrating to schools. Yeah, I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, Mira, we just want to say thanks for doing a webinar with us. We appreciate it. Fantastic, amazing information. And that's the thing I love about Book Creator too, is I don't know how many times I've done this, how many webinars I've done. Every day there's always a new idea that comes out, right? And watching this and seeing the amazing things that your kids have done is fantastic. And so I get new ideas every single day, and today's no different. I've got about 10 going through my head right now. So very much appreciate you being here and being such a great ambassador. And thank you.
Thank you for having me. And thank you to everybody who joined from all over. It's really remarkable. It's so inspiring and exciting. And I can't wait to kind of get back into the library and do new projects.
Yeah. And again, for all of you watching right now, don't forget, we will be sending out a follow-up email later, and it will have a link to the book that Mira kind of previewed here tonight. It will have links to the YouTube channel, and it will have that information, which is what all of you are excited about, that promo code that's going to give you 3 months of Book Creator for free. So you're going to be able to try all of this with your students. So look out for that email later in the week or early next week, but you'll get something from us. And again, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. Be safe out there, and happy bookmaking, everybody. All right.